Hey y'all, before I get into the episode, I did want to go ahead and give a bit of context. First and foremost, thank you so much for being here. Second of all, this is more of a real and raw episode. I will be talking about grief. I will be talking about navigating career. You will hear me crying. So just a trigger warning. Hearing discretion is advised. And yeah, I hope this episode does help someone that may be going through something similar. Alrighty, let's get into the episode. You are now listening to Season 3, Episode 1 of the TRC Podcast. Alright, so today I woke up at 6:45 a.m. and this is something I'm trying to implement into my life, trying to do better at. I've always been a girl that wakes up at 8 a.m., 9, 10. Yeah, I never push 11 or 12 or 1 o'clock unless it's like a weekend or, I've had a really long night, especially on the weekends, because during the week, definitely not a thing because I work. But yeah, it's something new that I'm trying because I've transitioned from part-time work into full-time work. So I've been with the company that I'm currently with, working in that industry, in the banking industry. And I've been with this company for it's been 3 years. So yeah, it'll be 4 next year, which is crazy. I've never been with the company this long. And so I had originally started off full-time with them. And then I was doing that maybe for like a year or something. But Josiah was smaller at the time. Josiah's 5, about to turn 6 now. But Josiah was younger at the time, still not in actual school. He'll be starting school this fall, but he was still in preschool, and I was in between different schools because there were some, daycares and preschools that I did not like. So it was just a transitional period for me. And so Josiah was home with me, and that was very tough because he was younger. He really didn't grasp the concept that mommy's working. Now he definitely does, but didn't grasp the concept that mommy's working. And he shouldn't, because it's like, you're home, you should be safe, you should feel free, but then I did even transition into hiring a nanny. She would come here and help me out, take him on walks and stuff, because I felt guilty that Josiah wasn't getting what he needed from me because I was working full time. So then that following year, I transitioned into part-time work. So I would only work, as opposed to 8 hours a day, I would work 4.5 hours a day. And honestly, that was amazing. And I truly, truly do miss that season of my life, because I was able to utilize and take advantage of the fact that I had afternoons off. I would actually use it for community. I would use it for my health. I would use it for travel. I would use it for a lot of different things. But then, it came a point in time where that chapter had to close and a new chapter had to open, and I had to transition into full-time work. Now, I personally did not want to transition into full-time work unless it was a new opportunity. I wasn't going to transition into full-time work with the same job that I had. So I was constantly looking for an opportunity, new opportunities, new promotion, new growth, because I needed the money. And obviously we want new growth too, but I just also felt very stagnant with where I was at. So I came across an opportunity. It was very organic, connected with someone from like a different line of business. And she told me, hey, we're looking for new hires, especially good talent, people that are consistent, dedicated in business banking. So I'm like, hey, that's me. I heard business banking and I automatically thought, wow, I'll be learning all about business, LLCs, corporations, all of that good stuff. And so I took on the opportunity, even though it was, instead of 8 to 12:30 p.m., it was 12:30 p.m. in the afternoon to 9 p.m. And that schedule, I'm like, whoa. When I heard that, I was like, I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that. That is crazy for me. That is very intense. But something that I'm definitely learning is that God doesn't give us these talents, doesn't give us this dedication and hard work for anything. So utilize those talents, or else those talents will be taken away from you. And I learned that. So I'm like, you know what? It's not even me. I didn't go based off of my own decision. I prayed to God. There was lots of praying, lots of contemplating if I should even take this job under a time constraint, because it wasn't just like, oh yeah, I'll let y'all know. There's other candidates, other people. They had people to on board. So it's like, we need an answer. And so in that moment, I also consulted with my manager / mentor at the time. And I'm like, hey, you've been with this company for this long. He's been with the company for more than 10 plus years. I think he actually hit his quarter, like 25 years. And I'm like, you've been with this company this long. You've been a manager, a leader. So I really would love your insight. He's like, you know what? I truly think that, it's like, let me finish my thought. So he's like, you know what? I truly think this is an opportunity that you should seize. And I'm speaking from the perspective of not taking those opportunities and being with the company for so long, not growing. It's like, when you don't grow and seize the opportunities, you become a little stagnant. And I told him about like my family. I'm like, hey, I have my son. I'm a solo mom. I am going back to school. I'm doing a lot of these different things. And I still want to prioritize my creativity and things of that sort. And he's like, I understand that. But you know what? This company is flexible. So make this job work for you. If you're going to school, let them know your school schedule. If you have certain events, because I was starting that job in May. May was a month of transition for me. May I had Josiah's graduation. May I had that new job position started. May I was transitioning from part-time to full-time. May, what else in May? Let me open up because I know it was a lot more. May I had court. May I had birthday parties. I had a YouTube event in May. I had a Market All-Star event in May where I was getting my first award. So Market All-Star is like for the top performers in the region. So I was getting an award. Lots of different things in May that based off of their application, they're like, hey, we start in May. Training is intense. Training is needed. We cannot miss any days. But I couldn't miss my son's graduation. I couldn't miss my YouTube creative event. I couldn't miss my award event. I couldn't miss any of these things because at the end of the day, these are opportunities that happen one time. Like, my son's not graduating pre-K again. Not to say I'm not getting an award again, but I'm not getting this award for 2025 again. So a lot of the things required for me to speak up for myself, advocate for myself, even when I'm comfortable, especially with corporate, especially navigating corporate. It could be very rigid. It could feel very daunting. It could feel very like no one's out to help you because there's so many policies and procedures in place. But if you advocate for yourself and seek assistance, seek help, seek guidance, seek leadership and mentorship, people are able to advocate for you as well and search around for different resources and different things. So that's something that I'm learning. But May was definitely a month of transition, but May was also the month where I did start to work full time. Now we're in July, so I would say I am a month into this job, basically in like 2 days, a month in. And I would say, I'm adjusting and I'm always adaptable. That's one thing about me. I'm always adaptable. But this is not to say that this is forever. It's still training. And I came into this thinking like, hey, sophisticated clientele, business. But honestly, these clients and consumers are very human. A lot of them actually don't come prepared. with what they need. So it requires for me to have patience, to guide them, to help them. A lot of people don't come knowing what they even need, or knowing how to articulate what they need, or knowing how I'm able to assist them. It's very difficult, very time consuming, very energy consuming sometimes, very emotionally taxing. And sometimes I could be very, very frustrated. But I know at the end of the day that this is a season. And if there's anything that I've learned from my favorite book in the Bible, Ecclesiastes, is that there is a season for everything. Ecclesiastes 3:1. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under the sun. So King Solomon is saying there is a time. King Solomon wrote Ecclesiastes, but Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, for everything there is a season and a time for every activity under the sun. Or even a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant a seed and a time to harvest. Ecclesiastes 3:2. And that tells me, from somebody that King Solomon was a king that navigated wealth, navigated women, navigated leadership, navigated money, navigated so many different things, navigated luxury. Like, he had everything. But he said that there is a time for everything. There's a time for everything, so there's no need to rush it. That's something that I'm constantly reminding myself, is that there is always a time to prioritize what you need to prioritize in that current season, keeping in mind and still planting the seeds for things that I want to do in different seasons. And how I apply that to my life is that right now I am working a full-time job. Do I want to work this full-time job forever? Absolutely not. But it's planting the seed for what I'm going to do, or for what I am actually doing, planting the seeds for my creativity and being able to somehow make that my full-time thing, start freelancing, help other people. Like, I definitely do want to consult other people with their business and their content creation journey or their life, because I feel as though at this ripe age of 25 that I have experienced a lot of different things, from motherhood, career shifts, going back to school, and even grief. So that's career. I kind of it's a good transition to grief. So I woke up, that's the whole point of this message, but I woke up feeling I woke up just thanking God, thank you, God, for another day. That's number one. But then I also woke up feeling a little down because I had a dream that my dad was still, he's still alive. But I don't know, I just get this gut feeling that he won't be alive for long. And I'm experiencing this anticipatory grief because my dad had multiple strokes. My dad is an older dude. Not even that old to be experiencing what he's experiencing, but he's older. He now eats through a feeding tube. Now he's nonverbal, very weak, very, fragile, very, it's not my dad. It's not the dad that I knew. The lively dad, happy, always cracking jokes, always praying, always showing compassion and love. But in that dream, I remember seeing my sister and my cousins and family even friends that I grew up with as a kid. And we were all together. And I remember seeing my dad lively. And in the dream, it was him being lively after time away, or like him being lively after not being able to talk and being weak. It's like he got better in the dream. And basically in the dream, I was looking for my dad, and then I found him in the house wherever we were at. I found him, and I'm like, wow, you're here. And he's talking and joking around. And so around my friends and my family, I was like, wow, I thought my dad wasn't going to be here, but he is here. I found him, and he's alive and better. And I just started to break down. And so one of my friends that I grew up with, she's like, wow, you had the best dad. And basically, she didn't really have her dad in her life, so that's where that perspective was coming from. But, yeah, so, experiencing that dream, like talking with my dad, joking around. So in that dream, I experienced talking to my dad and joking around, and seeing him lively, and having deep conversations. And these are things that I feel like I didn't get from my dad in real life. My dad was constantly working. No, he was tired. Also, like, he had more of an avoidant style. And there were moments where he did try to talk, but me being a teenager, rebel, like, he would take me out to parks and stuff and try to talk. I didn't listen. Me being like 13 and 12, we didn't have the best relationship growing up, but I'm not here to talk negatively about my dad, but I am here to share my story, and something that I had a thought to myself this morning. It's now 7:21, so I'm about to get ready to take a shower, but I had a thought to myself this morning that looking outside in, or comparing my journey and my relationship with my dad, comparing it to other relationships, that might have been worse, or even friends that didn't have their dads in their life at all, absent parents. And that wasn't the case. My dad was still there. My parents did divorce when I was literally like 5 years old. So it's not that my dad lived in the same state, but we would be there in the summers, he would, I remember, take us to different parks and amusement parks. Busch Gardens was our favorite. My dad lived in Florida. That's where I was originally born. So it's not like he wasn't there, but I really needed that warmth. I really needed that support and love, and, foundational love, unconditional love, when it came to my dad. And I remember having moments where he would hug me and be like, my firstborn. Or I'm his first daughter. I'm not his firstborn. I have my brother who's older. He'd be like, my first daughter, and hug me and all of these things. And I remember that season, but I feel as though I didn't really have the best relationship, or the relationship that I needed to have solid relationships with men growing up, because then that led me into, because I didn't have a solid relationship with my dad. We know the story. It led you to bad choice at men and things of that sort. Now I have a partner that is very supportive and loving, but that came after a lot of healing, a lot of growth, a lot of things that I needed to do in order to be able to accept love and be able to be vulnerable and be myself and be honest. And, I experienced a lot of hurt before this had to happen. So, but my point was that I would always say, yeah, compared to blah, 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 I didn't have the best, compared to blah, 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 like my dad was great. But it's like, I'm not comparing myself to nobody's journey. It's my journey. And I shouldn't feel guilty for expressing that my dad wasn't a great dad. And I think with that dream, it showed me that to be a great parent, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have money. It means that you need to spend quality time with your kids. It means that you need to give them experiences, which my dad did. But it means that you need to show them unconditional love. You need to affirm them. You need to instill all of these things in us. And I definitely learned a lot from my dad. My dad was definitely a man of God, always in church, deacon in a church. He would volunteer in prisons on the weekends. I remember Saturdays. He never took us, so I always wanted to go, and he would do that and go and read the Bible to them and sing to the prisoners. And it was I think that's where I get my volunteer and acts of service and community aspects, was from my dad. My dad was a loving man, always seeking out help, always helping other people, always going to visit other people. I remember her name was Sulinda and Vitalina. Those are very old names. They're Dominican. Very old names, but these were old ladies that took care of us when we were younger. And Sulinda died, but my dad would always bring them food. And I remember we would go over there in the summers. We would go visit in the hospital. And both of them are now dead. But I remember being able to visit their home. My dad would bring them food, plantains, like a whole bunch of stuff. Always a lot of stuff. And even too with the pastor, I remember even seeing photos. But I remember there was a pastor that we grew up in that church as well. I forget his name, but I know how he looks like. Alwaldo, I think his name was. Another old name. But it was just a sweet, genuine old man. He was a pastor. We grew up in that church. I was actually baptized in that church. And he was already bedridden, and my dad would go see him often and bring us like, hey, these are my daughters. Remember them? Like, so I definitely get the community aspect and, being able to be aware that we can't navigate life alone. But my dad spent a lot of time alone. My dad spent a lot of time not having a partner there with him, to support him. And he spent a lot of years very independent. But with that dream, it taught me that what I needed was for my dad to be there. And that dream felt so good. It felt so real. And I felt like I was genuinely talking to my dad. Because, my dad always had this lively personality, always joking around. Even if sometimes he would have his serious moments, but always cracking a joke. And I truly miss that. And with that dream, we were cracking jokes, reading books. I was loving up on him. He was loving up on me. And it felt really good, and it was so random. But my dad is not like a Trump supporter or anything. But for some reason, then we found Trump on the street. And I'm like, hey, come see my dad. Because the thing of the dream, it's like he got better again, like unexpectedly, but low-key, we knew that he was going away or going to pass away. And Donald Trump came and was just like talking to us and blah, 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 which I don't think that would ever happen in real life. Once again, I'm not a Trump supporter, but that happened. It was so random. But anyway, that happened. But I remember my family being there. I remember even my partner being there. My partner has never met my dad before. Like, my partner and I met after all of this. So my dad now lives in Florida, but he's in DR now. And yeah, so my partner actually never got the chance to meet my dad, but he hears a lot about my dad. You know, he's seen him, and I talk about him a lot. So a lot of the foundational people were in that dream, people that I grew up with. My sister was there. Maybe Donald Trump was there because he's current president. But so random, y'all. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like really good. And so then I woke up from that dream. And then I'm like, wow, I miss my dad. I miss that version of my dad that was lively. I miss that version of my dad that was open. And I wish that version of my dad that was always helping other people, you know. And I recently went to go see him and took time off of work, you know, a few months ago. I think this was in April, if I'm not mistaken. And seeing my dad in the state that he was, and, you know, my sister even learned how to feed him with a tube. We both saw him in the state that he was, but I had a moment with my dad where I'm gonna cry again. I had a moment with my dad where, you know, he, again, nonverbal, so he would use like a tablet to write. And I'm like, hey, where's my dad? You know, we went to go visit him. He was in the room. And I go in there and he's laying down. And not just laying down, but laying down, just looking helpless and sad. And, you know, it's like, not, in my mind, it's like not being able to talk sucks, especially when you went your whole life speaking and sharing your story and talking about God, you know. But he looked there helpless, and what I did was I just gave him a hug. And there's so much that I want to say, but I didn't know how to say it. I literally just gave him a hug. And I remember, oh my God. I remember just feeling his fragile skin. Like, his skin lost, like, if I were to feel my skin, like, I feel muscle, I feel like my skin has, like, you know, tightness, you know, elasticity. But when I gave him a hug, you know, he no longer had that firmness. He was very soft and fragile and skinny. But one thing that my dad did was he stood up. Of course with my help, but he stood up. And we just hugged each other. He can't talk. And I had so much to say, but we went our whole life without really talking about uncomfortable topics or anything like that. So it's like I didn't know how to say it. I didn't just want to berate him or tell him, hey, you should have did this and that. No, I'm showing my dad love and compassion during this time. So I just hugged him, and he hugs me, and I started crying, and he started crying. And even though he can't say anything now, just that moment of us hugging each other and crying said so much, and I felt so much love and so much, I guess, like regret. Like he was crying and sobbing, and it was a silent cry. Yeah, like, damn, she's crying a lot. But this is healing. This is what healing looks like. This is what vulnerability looks like. This is what growth looks like. So I had that moment with my dad. And I don't know, I just woke up today and I texted my stepmom yesterday, like, this is my stepmom and him married, and she's now taking care of him, and they've been together for years now. But it's like I can no longer text my dad because he doesn't text back. Like I can text him, he could see it, but like he doesn't use his phone anymore. His hands, like if y'all could see his hands, because he had multiple strokes, now his hands are like losing, like he can't like move his fingers in the way that he used to. It's crazy. These strokes would mess with you. But he can't text. He can't really hold the phone. He can't really even type, like, right on his tablet anymore to communicate how he's feeling. And that was only when I saw him a few months ago. I can only imagine how it is now. So how I'm receiving updates now is like periodically I check in, like, hey, how's my dad? I'll text her. Since I won't receive a text back, I'm sure she's doing a lot of different things. But it's like I don't get updates. And I wish I was there, So anyway, I've been experiencing anticipatory grief because I know that my dad eventually will pass away. And honestly, I want that because I feel like right now he's suffering. Right now, he's back in his homeland. He's been living in Florida, for a while. He's been at the same company for so long. Obviously retired now. But, yeah, now they're back in DR, which I'm so happy because that's where my dad is from. And I want him to be in his homeland if he were to pass away. And actually, I this is not to say that I want my dad to die. No, but I want for him to be at peace. And I know because he is a man of God. I know because he is aware. And I know because he is saved, he will go to heaven. And I want that for him. I want for him to be at peace and no longer be on this earth needing to be fed through a tube, needing to be fed through, needing to be taken care of, needed to be, because now he can't, it's like sometimes he can't even use the bathroom, in the way that he needs to. So he'll wear like a diaper type of thing. And it's so uncomfortable. Like, I don't want anyone that I love to live like that. I don't want to live like that. Please. Like, if I'm living like that, y'all, I'm not going to say anything, but y'all know what I'm putting down. Like, I don't want to live like that. So, yeah, it's just very, very heavy. This is a heavy feeling, and honestly, I'm super glad that I was able to talk about this, and I'm very happy. It makes me feel relieved that I was able to share this, and I'm not sure if this will be posted or not, but what matters is that I'm sharing it for myself, that I'm expressing and sharing my story and documenting this moment. Today is July 3rd, 2025, and I'm super happy. I wouldn't say super happy. I'm actually sad. I'm sad, but I'm happy, and I feel reassured, and I feel relieved that I was able to share this. And I want to conclude this with something happy, because I would say, even though all of this is heavy, it gives me joy and brings me peace that God is there to guide me and lead me, because ultimately that's where everything comes from God. So he's there to guide me, lead me, and his word. Like, the Bible has been so comforting because it has all of the wisdom, everything that I need to navigate life. That's number one. And number two, I'm so happy and I'm grateful that I have Josiah, and I'm able to instill love and confidence in him and compassion. And honestly, I could tell Josiah really loves me, because he'll be like, Mommy, I'll be right here. He's like, Mommy, I miss you, and showing me love. And honestly, this morning he didn't draw, he's still sleeping, but I saw that he drew a picture and put it in my room. And the picture was it was like stick figures. Like, it was me, and you could tell that it was me because it was like tall. The stick figure was tall, and then it was him because it had like a little stick figure. And that made me break down. It's like, wow, he really admires me and loves me. And that's because of the love that I give to him, So for that, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that my dad met Josiah, and that Josiah met my dad and knows that's abuelo, grandpa. And I'm grateful that I still have, my mom that's alive and well. So I'm showing her love and telling her I love her and that I miss her every chance that I get. I'm grateful that I have my sister. I'm super close with my sister, and I'm glad that we're 2 years apart. And I'm glad that my parents always instilled for us to remain together and remain always communicating with each other. I'm grateful for my partner that is there for me, and that is supportive and loving and caring. I'm grateful for my best friend Marissa, and even though she is far away currently in Sweden, I'm grateful for her love and her compassion and her willingness and open-mindedness, And I'm just grateful for everyone around me, my family, my friends, because it's hard. It's hard navigating life alone. It's hard navigating life when you feel lost. But I'm grateful that I have God, the Bible, my family, my friends, my community, and I never take any of those things for granted. I'm grateful that I was raised in a church and that both my mom and dad instilled the Word of God and God's love into me even as a child, because now I have that to be my backbone and to be my support. So ultimately, I'm just grateful that I know I was going to end this on a good note. I'm over here crying, but this doesn't necessarily mean that I'm sad. It's just like I'm so grateful. Okay. Well, thank you for listening. I do appreciate you being here. Whew. We did a lot of crying today, and I think I'm going to be doing a lot more. And I also think that I'm PMSing, so that's maybe, a reason why I'm crying so much too. But anyway, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Sending you love and light, and I hope that by me sharing my story and my journey, it was able to help you navigate what you're experiencing or navigate your own life. If you would like to share something that you're going through, definitely feel free to email me, maybe your story. I would love to read it on here. You can do that at hello@adaozuna.com, or even just reach out to me on Instagram at @adaozuna. I am there. And I just want to say I appreciate you once again. If this is something that you want to hear more of, definitely feel free to rate the podcast and share this with a friend. If this is something that helped you, share it with a friend. You never know who this may impact. So thank you again, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Ada out.